Yes, the first story from a subscriber. Well, I'll be damned. A pretty good story just dropped into my inbox. The subject is quite far from the kind of stories I normally tell, but I found it pretty entertaining. So, first of all, thanks to, well, let's just call him Brian, I'm obviously not going to reveal his real name. I did some rewrite parts on the story because Brian's original version wasn't exactly family friendly enough for YouTube. So unfortunately, a few things have been toned down and a couple of bits have been removed completely. Well, anyway, enough from me. Here comes Brian's story. After a few good warm-up beers at M&M Bar, I decided to go for a walk and explore Soy Lengkee and Soy Diana. Normally I tend to stick to the bars around New Plaza and Treetown. I know those areas quite well by now, and I suppose you get comfortable with the places you know. But this evening I fancied trying somewhere different. So I walked down Third Road and turned into Soy Lengkee. The bars along there looked a little quiet, but there was still plenty of girls calling you out as I walked past. Eventually I stopped at Farang Bar and had a beer. It was actually quite nice there. I bought one and the girl a lady drink, and we had a chat for a while. I could probably have stayed there for the whole evening, but that was not the point. I want to see more places, new places. So after one beer and one lady drink, I carry on towards Soy Buakau. I crossed Soy Buakau and walked past LK Metro. Well, I don't have anything against LK Metro. I've been there plenty of times. But as I've got older, I found those places a bit too stressful for my liking. Too much noise, too many people, and too much going on. These days, I'm quite happy just sitting somewhere with a cold beer and somebody nice to talk to. I also passed Heartbeat. I've been there a few times before and there was actually a good atmosphere and plenty of music coming from that place. But I noticed a beer bar complex further down Soy Diana, and that's where I wanted to go. I crossed the road and saw bar after bar along the left-hand side. Now this looked more like my kind of place. Tom's Bar, Pussy Bar, In Love Bar, Tongue's Bar, and Fernando Bar. I always liked those slightly silly Pattaya bar names. Maybe it's just me, but when a bar has a name like Pussy Bar, you know roughly what you're getting. Anyway, I wandered around for a while and had beers at different places. I can't actually remember all of them. Eventually I ended up sitting at Fernando Bar. At least I think it was Fernando Bar. I had a quite few beers by this point, and so don't hold me up to that. There was a couple of other customers sitting at the bar. They obviously had a few as well, but I didn't really pay much attention to them. I started talking to one of the bartenders and asked if she wanted a drink. She came over and sat with me and we chatted for a while. She seems like a nice girl and I started thinking I might spend the rest of the evening with her. Nothing unusual about that. Then a man sitting about 2 stoles away suddenly got very angry. He came over and told the girl she should be sitting with him instead of me. I wasn't really sure what his problem was. I told him there were plenty of girls around and he could quite easily talk to somebody else. Apparently, that wasn't the answer he wanted. He got more and more annoyed and the girl tried to calm him down. Eventually, she managed to get him back to his seat. He was so drunk, he had to hold on to every bar stools he made on his way back. So I thought, well, that was the end of it. The girl then told me he'd been staring at her for most of the evening but hadn't bought her a single lady drink. She also said that she didn't want to sit with him anyway because he was far too drunk. Fair enough, I thought. Lucky me. Unfortunately, that didn't last very long. A minute or so later, he got up again, and this time he came straight towards me with his fist raised. Now, I should probably point out that I'm not much of a fighter. Even when I was younger, I wasn't interested in fighting. And these days, I'm even less interested. If trouble starts somewhere, I'm normally the bloke heading the opposite direction. The problem was that I was sitting on a bar stool, and when you're in your 60s, getting off a bar stool quickly isn't quite as easy as it used to be. I just managed to stand up and put my arms in front of my face because I honestly thought he was going to hit me. Luckily for me, he was absolutely hammered. He started swinging, but he couldn't seem to hit anything. For a few seconds, I was just standing there watching the bloke throwing punches at fresh air. It might sound funny now, but I can assure you it wasn't particularly funny when he was standing in front of me. All it would take was one lucky punch. I was trying to work out whether I should defend myself or just get out of there. Then the girl stepped between us and tried to calm him down. Unfortunately, that was when things got worse. He threw another big punch, which I assume was meant for me. Instead, it caught the girl across the mouth. Everything stopped for a second. Even the drunk bloke stopped. You could see from his face that he was suddenly realized he made a serious mistake. A few of the other girls and bartender quickly came over, and I was quite happy to discover that everybody had completely forgotten about me. All the attention was now on him. I decided this was probably a good time to leave, so I started walking away from the bar. After maybe 30 feet, curiosity got the better of me and I turned around to see what happened. There were several people around him now, shouting and pushing him away from the bar. Then I noticed a few taxi drivers who'd been sitting nearby. They got up and came over as well. At this point I decided I've seen enough. The last thing I saw was the taxi lads pushing him down into the pavement. I have no idea what happened after that, and to be honest, I didn't particularly want to know. I turned around and carried on walking back to my hotel. It had been a strange evening, and if I'm being truthful, the whole thing had frightened me a little. I'm in my 60s. Getting punched in the face by some drunken idiot isn't really on my to-do list in Pattaya. But for some reason I couldn't stop smiling on the walk home. I'd gone out because I wanted to see something different. Well, I'd certainly managed that. And despite everything that happened, I decided I'd probably go back to those bars on Pattaya another night, hopefully on a slightly quieter evening. Well, thanks for that one, Brian. I think you, not exactly the relaxing little bar crawl you had planned, but I think you handled it very well. Walking away is the best thing to do. I've seen a couple of fights in Pattaya, and I heard a lot about people getting deported and stuff, so stay out of fights, it's not worth it. But this is actually something I like to do more on my channel. So if you got a funny story, a strange embarrassing, or just something completely ridiculous Pattaya story of your own, send it to me. It doesn't have to involve bar fights, bar girls, or anything like that. It can just be about a hotel, restaurant, something that happened on your first trip, or just one of those strange Pattaya moments you still remember years later. And don't worry, I won't use your real name unless you specifically want me to. I might have to clean the story up a little bit for YouTube, just like I did with Brian's, but I'll try to keep the story itself as close to yours as possible. So Brian, thanks again for sending this one, and if anyone else has a Pattaya story worth telling, my inbox is open.